but when I go and I look at my social media, I have racist people coming to my page, going under my son's pictures, leaving the most horrific things, saying that they're glad he's dead, good riddance, and I am tired. I don't want this to happen to any other child. No black or brown child should have to go through this. No parent should have to go through this. This has to stop today. And I just learned today that South Carolina, if it's a murder charge, that they cannot bring in any of your prior acts. Rick Chow shot 2 people before. Rick Chow accosted a child in that store and beat her up with a gun on her hip. And none of that information could be brought to light. And I do not think that is fair, and if that is on the law books, that needs to be changed. Because if that was not there, then my son would have gotten justice. And to allow this person to terrorize this neighborhood for 12, 13 years is ridiculous. And it's just showing that it's okay to treat black and brown people wrong, and it's not. My son loves everybody. He would tell me like, oh, Mom, you're being judgmental. You shouldn't do that. That's against God. And the devil shot him dead, and he laid right there. And we got no justice from South Carolina. It is disgusting, and I don't even know why. I have no words. But every day, I will not be able to speak to my son, hear his voice change, see him grow, go to prom. He will never get married. I would never hold my grandchildren, nothing. But Chow is able to go home with his lion son, Andy Chow, and they're able to have dinner with the wife, Alice, who all 3 of them came out that store, and they chased my baby. And I think the entire family should be held accountable because it was racially profiled. And I do not think that it is right, and they all should be punished. And I don't know what laws that we need to create to help our people, but it needs to be done, and it needs to be done now. Cyrus should not be gone. None of our children should be gone from the acts of racism, from profiling, from any of that. He should be here. And until the world treats us like we are human beings, I mean, come on. Y'all hire us. Y'all want us around. You like our culture. You want to listen to the music. You want to wear our clothes. You want to do all of that stuff. But when it comes to protecting us and when it comes to looking at our children, you look at us as if we are animals, and we are not. I am a college-educated woman. I hold a master's degree in information technology management. My son was not a thug. He was a 14-year-old boy who was trying to find his way. And for any person that acts like when they were 14, 15, 16, 17, that they did not do nothing wrong, that they did not smoke and drink and have sex and do whatever that they were not supposed to do by their parents, it is a lie. And it is judgmental, and I refuse to allow any of you to sit up there and make it seem like we were bad parents because we were not. All of our children make mistakes, but I don't see anybody saying, oh, well, you know what, my kid did X, Y, and Z, my kid did X, Y, and Z. No, they're coming onto my page and try to demonize my child, and I will not have it. And it stops today. Keep your opinions to yourself. And until you are in my shoes and you have to bury a child, I don't want to hear nothing from you.
So sad. So sad. I followed this case while the trial was going on, and as she was saying, the gentleman who, Rick Chow, who was found not guilty. It's a sad situation because it shouldn't have turned out this way. He definitely was guilty, and I let this lady explain it. Because there are laws in certain places, and I don't know why the prosecution went for just the murder charge, but that 14-year-old boy definitely should not have been harmed, and I agree with her that, he was unjustly taken out by Rick Child and his son. Well, Rick Child essentially, who used the weapon against him, and the evidence was there. It's just, I don't know. It's just sad.
The jury got it right in the Rick Chow case, and I'm going to tell you why. The jury yesterday came back with a verdict of not guilty on murder in the Rick Chow case, and I am a criminal defense attorney, and I'm going to tell you why that was the correct verdict. Now, the jury, or the prosecution and the defense, agreed to only send the jury back with the charge of murder. Okay, they did not choose to go with involuntary or voluntary manslaughter,
And that's
which
where
are both
they went
eligible
wrong.
in South Carolina. There are not degrees of murder in South Carolina, so murder is the only charge, and this is the definition of murder in South Carolina. Murder is the killing of any person with malice aforethought, either express or implied. Now, malice can be formed in a second, but it's an intent to kill. Okay, in order to be found guilty of murder, you need to have that intent to kill, even if it's done in a second. Now, what the prosecution did not do here is prove an intent to kill. Okay, all they really did is prove an intent to protect his son. Okay, his son testified that he was threatened, he felt fear for his life, he thought he was going to get shot, he thought he was going to get killed, and that's what the jury hung their hat on. Additionally, the prosecutor attacking the son in the manner that he did made the son look like a victim in the courtroom, and that's what the jury hung their hat on. The prosecution failed to prove the malice, which is that intent to unalive somebody. Okay, what they could have proven is going to be voluntary manslaughter. They should have sent voluntary manslaughter back to the jury, which occurs when someone kills another person in the heat of passion without prior intent to kill. Obviously, the heat of the moment is the cheating spouse, right? The law recognizes that a sudden provocation can cause someone to act without the calm reflection that characterizes murder. For voluntary manslaughter to apply, several conditions must exist, must be adequate to the reasonable person to lose control, must happen before there's time for passion to cool, there can't be a significant gap between the provocation and the fatal act. Okay? That is where the prosecution messed up. The prosecution absolutely should have sent voluntary manslaughter back to the jury, and they would have come back with a guilty verdict on voluntary manslaughter. But in no way would they ever have come back on a guilty on the murder charge, and that is the prosecution's mistake. So, did the jury get it right? Yes. He was not guilty of murder. He was absolutely guilty of voluntary manslaughter. And that was a mistake made by the prosecution in their charging conference and their charging documents. So you can agree or disagree with me, but do you think if you were on the jury, would you have found him guilty of murder, or would you have found him guilty of voluntary manslaughter? You let me know in the comments, but definitely not murder. Definitely not murder. So you let me know what you think. We'll chat about it.
It's unfortunate because no matter what we think, he's already been found not guilty, and there's nothing you could do about it. I don't know why the prosecution would do that. They should have tried to get every charge that was possible sent back to the jury. I don't understand this level of ignorance, this level of recklessness with like going about getting justice. And the fact that you can't bring up prior situations to where this store owner was known, you know, for the, like, I think he might have shot 2 or 3 people prior to this, and you can't bring that up in court because that does give context to who he is, how they operate. And like I said, I watched some of this trial, and I just knew he was going to be found guilty. I just knew he was. And when it came back that he wasn't found guilty, completely shocked. And I feel for the mother. Not only do you lose your son, but you don't even get justice. And it's just gross. And I was seeing people like, oh, well, you know, you get a civil, you know, you can do a civil lawsuit. It's still not the same. Like, even if they win in civil, you know, court, it's like he's still free. And he shouldn't be. And it's just a level of recklessness that I literally had to stop watching everything about it so that I could find peace again, because stuff like this just makes you wonder, like, how is justice possible when they're dropping the ball like this? But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Don't forget to connect with the brand online at www.there'shopebrand.com. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.